Have you ever felt like you're just overlooked or completely misunderstood? Well, what if I told you there's a hidden language that highly successful people use to command respect, build trust, and, yeah, get what they want? Okay, let's dive into how you can master it. So, behavioral investigator Vanessa Van Edwards, she figured out that it's not just about what you say. It's all about the signals you're constantly sending out. This hidden language is really the language of cues, and it is absolutely the key to unlocking your potential. All right, so 82%. What's that about? Well, get this. Researchers found that a massive 82% of the first impressions someone forms of you has nothing to do with your resume, your job title, or even the brilliant things you're about to say. That's right. It all boils down to just two fundamental traits that people are subconsciously scanning for the second they meet you. And you know what the best part is? You are in complete control of signaling both of them. So here's what we're going to cover. We'll break down this hidden language of cues. We're going to look at the warmth and competence matrix that drives everything. Then I'll give you 5 specific cues for competence and 5 for warmth. And finally, we'll talk about how you can craft your very own charisma recipe. Okay, first things first. Let's get our terms straight. When we talk about this hidden language, we're really talking about cues. And trust me, it is so much more than just whether you cross your arms or make eye contact. See, cues are all these tiny signals we're sending out all the time through 4 different channels. You've got body language, of course, your posture, your gestures, but you've also got your vocal tone, the actual words you choose, and even your ornaments, stuff like the clothes you wear or the background you have on a video call. It all sends a message. So remember that 82%? What are those 2 traits that make it up? Well, it all comes down to something called the warmth and competence matrix. This is basically the blueprint for how people instinctively judge you in those first few seconds. So on one side, you have warmth. This is all about trust, friendliness, being likable. It's basically answering the question, can I trust you? Then on the other side, you've got competence. This signals power, reliability, capability. It answers the question, can I rely on you? The most charismatic people, they send strong signals for both. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. What happens if you don't send clear signals? If you're trying to be, stoic or hard to read, you end up with low warmth and low competence cues. And that puts you in the danger zone. People can't figure you out, so their brain just defaults to not trusting you. So let's start with competence. Do you ever feel like you're constantly getting interrupted in meetings? Or maybe you have these great ideas, but they just don't seem to land with the respect they deserve? If that sounds familiar, you probably need to dial up your power cues. Okay, so here are 5 specific science-backed cues you can start using literally today to boost how competent you seem and to command more respect the moment you walk into a room. First up, we've got the steeple. It's a super confident hand gesture. Next, how to maximize your space. Just taking up a little more room. We'll also cover powerful eye contact and a really subtle but effective one called the lower lid flex that signals intense focus. And finally, using a downward inflection with your voice to sound way more certain. So how important are hand gestures, really? Well, a study of TED Talks found that the speakers with the most viral videos used an average of 465 hand gestures. The least popular speakers? Only 271. Your hands literally help people understand and believe your ideas. And here's the kicker. Your brain is 12.5 times more likely to believe the cues it sees in your gestures than the words it hears from your mouth. When your hands and your words are telling the same story, that signals incredible confidence. It's almost impossible to lie effectively with your hands. Okay, but what if you have the total opposite problem? People take you seriously, for sure, but maybe a little too seriously. Have you ever been told you're intimidating, or cold, or just hard to approach? If that's you, then you need to dial up your warmth. All right, let's look at 5 specific warmth cues you can use to build rapport, seem more likable, and just make people feel instantly comfortable and connected with you. So for this toolkit, we've got the triple nod to get people to share more, the head tilt to signal empathy, the power of a genuine smile, the simple act of leaning in to show you're captivated, and using what's called a nonverbal bridge to create connection. A slow, deliberate triple nod, 1, 2, 3, is like non-verbally saying, tell me more. It shows you're locked in, and it can actually get someone to talk up to 67% longer. But be careful, that fast, choppy nod just signals impatience. A simple head tilt, on the other hand, shows you're listening with empathy, which is a game changer if you have to deliver bad news. And think about it. When you lean in while someone's talking, you are physically and psychologically closing that space between you. It is such a powerful, silent way to show that you are completely engaged and fascinated by what they're saying. So, we've gone over a lot of tools for both warmth and competence. The final step here is to stop thinking of these as a bunch of rules you have to follow. Think of them as ingredients for your own personal charisma recipe. Imagine you've got a charisma thermostat. You can dial up the warmth or dial up the competence, depending on what the situation calls for. Let's say you're in a tense negotiation. You could pair a high competence cue like the steeple with a high warmth cue like a head tilt. That sends a really powerful message. I'm confident in my position, but I'm also listening to yours. You can adjust your signals for any situation. Ultimately, you're the one in control. The signals you send are basically subconscious instructions, telling other people how to treat you. When you start choosing the right cues, you start to attract the right people and the right opportunities. You find your people. And let's be super clear, this is not about faking it. It is not about pretending to be some bubbly extrovert if that's not who you are. The goal is to find the combination of warmth and competency cues that feels totally, completely authentic to you and just amplifies who you already are. So I'll leave you with this. You don't have to master all of these things overnight. That's overwhelming. Real change happens with one small action. So my question is, what's the one cue from all of this that you're going to consciously try out today?